hear me okay? This is going to be a group energy healing, and I'll be healing 132 people in 12 different countries, and it will be fabulous. It is the April 2026 twin set, healing 1 of 2. The next, the final healing in this set will be in 3 days on Sunday. Today is Thursday. And let's talk about the theme and how we will be doing it today. Lots of interesting stuff. Okay, so the theme for this whole month, so we already did a triplet set of 3 healings much earlier this month. And the theme for that set and this set is time management, self-discipline, focus, and productivity. Woo! And all these videos for this month will be in the same playlist, which is linked in the info section of the live stream, later video. And so in the third healing, the last healing, basically the final healing in the triplet set this month, we did brain healing. And we had never done it in that much depth, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it did help a lot. So we're going to do sort of like 2.0 of that. We're going to go beyond it, because the bulk of my people that I'm healing get all the healings, and so I can just kind of, and plus even the people that don't, that just dabble, that's fine. But if you do get all of them, then you get to experience both that last healing and this healing, you know, by receiving them. And that is kind of extra cool. But anyway, if you do want a healing subscription, so you get all of them without having to remember to pay, because it's automatic payment, then that's on my website, jwhealing.com. But anyway, so brain healing, right? So let's see. I debuted the brain guy, who is now a good friend of mine. I like him quite a bit. So this is brain guy, and I'll make myself small so I could show him. So he spins, and I can slow him down so he doesn't spin too fast, which is nice. And so you can see the brain and the brain stem while you're working, and the upper part of the spinal cord, the uppermost part. So anyway, what we did in that healing 3 days, more than, was it 2 weeks ago? It was almost a full 2 weeks ago. We imagine energy blocks that were in the brain and or the spinal cord, and we melted them away. We did it, you know, mindfully. So you ask the angels to recycle any invasive beings corded to the blocks, and then you melt cords from people corded to the blocks, and then you melt the blocks. So it's like the least drama that way. And it was really effective. It was like this great pair up between that and working basically manifestation wings and creative rings, so that you generate as much gold light as possible. They sort of saw it like okay, if you get rid of energy blocks that are in the way in the brain and the spine that are healthy and gentle to get rid of, it's like you're untangling the wires, you know? So your thoughts work better, and the parts of your brain communicate better with each other, and it's like there's less sort of brain freezing and, you know, dysfunction. And then generating a lot more gold light with your manifestation wings, which are, when they are nice and properly healed and repaired, they look like big gold angel wings behind you. And then creative rings. So those two things, manifestation wings and creative rings, they can, if you get them healed and up enough, they generate a ton of gold light. So that's kind of like having a jetpack on. It's like whoosh, you can move forward much faster if you're generating much more gold light within your space, just because it just is easier to stay present. It's easier to stay flowing. It's easier to stay present And so there's less of like a, you know, stalling and hesitating and getting overwhelmed or whatever. It's like you're just more powerful. So I call it working your personal power just by amping up the amount of gold light. So with brain healing, you know, clearing blocks in your brain and your spinal cord, and the gold light generating a lot more, it was like, for a lot of people, it really worked. So the new thing that we're gonna, well, the way we're gonna take that one step further today is, let me write something here. So CNS stands for central nervous system. I guess that's just okay. First disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor, which, you know, hopefully is obvious to you. I'm an energy healer. I didn't go to medical school at all. I didn't take any Western medicine classes ever. I mean, you know, beyond basic high school and college, but so I'm not trying to present a lot of science, like as in Western science or even like Eastern medicine. I'm not an expert in Eastern medicine. I took like one really in-depth class in Eastern medicine in my life. I took it twice, but I've only taken one class. So I'm not an expert in any medical field, right? So just so that is clear. Because I think sometimes when people use medical terms, they may be accidentally or maybe purposefully trying to deceive and say that, you know, what they're doing is medically backed up, you know. And what I'm doing today, there's, you know, you're not going to get a Western doctor to be like, oh yeah, that's totally legitimate. Maybe an open-minded acupuncturist might be like, oh, I see, you know, but they'd have to be more of an open-minded acupuncturist. But anyway, so that's my disclaimer, right? So that said, I will use a few medical terms today. So just so you know, I'm not an expert in medicine. Okay. So CNS, central nervous system, which I've seen different things. It's like it's the brain and the spinal cord is your central nervous system, right? But some people include your retina, like the inner part of your, the back part of your, the inner back part of your eye that is light sensitive. They include that in the central nervous system, but I'm just gonna think of central nervous system as just the brain and the spinal cord, because I don't know how legit that whole add the retina to it is. So anyway, so CNS, central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, right? And then ENS is, you know, some people, I mean, it's sort of pop culture-y to say like, oh, the intestines are like your second brain, or your gut is your second brain. And so the angels kind of reminded me of that as I was preparing and reading surveys and brainstorming for this healing. And so we're not only going to work the energy flow within your central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, but we're also going to work the energy flow within your enteric nervous system, which is basically your gut. There's a quote, I did link a slight background article in the info section on the enteric nervous system, which is basically just all the, I'm going to quote it so I don't mess it up. 2 layers of more than 1 million nerve cells lining your gastrointestinal tract from esophagus to rectum. So it's like if you eat food and then all the way till it gets out of you, that whole route, you know, with the intestines and your stomach and everything, and even your esophagus. So that's your enteric nervous system. And there are nerve cells in that, over 100 million nerve cells. And so that's part of why they call it, it's like a second brain. Now, for context, your brain has over 86 billion neurons. So 86 billion, and then the gut has 100 million. So a lot less, but still, maybe if people don't realize that, they wouldn't think like, okay, well, how does your gut, your enteric nervous system affect like so much and more than digestion? Fun fact, your enteric nervous system, right? So from your mouth all the way on out of your body, your gut basically makes 90% of your serotonin, and then 10% of it is made by your brain, and then a little bit in other parts of your body, a teeny bit. So serotonin apparently affects a lot more than mood. It affects sleep and a lot of other things. You can Google it, or put it in a search engine. What does serotonin help with? It helps with a lot. But anyway, I think for our purposes, the fact that serotonin helps sleep and mood, and the fact that a lot of it is produced and is located in your intestines and, the enteric nervous system, that's why it's going to be really good for us to work on the energy flow in your enteric nervous system so that it functions properly. You get the right amount of serotonin, produced at the proper speed, yada, yada. So you don't need to know that though, but it just to give you, in case you're interested in like sort of part of my thought process as I was figuring stuff out. Basically the angel said, do this, but then I like to know a little bit of like why it's important to do it. So I felt like the serotonin thing was like, oh yeah, if it's that important, and that's most of it's produced in your gut, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and the enteric nervous system, it functions independently to, make you digest and everything, and to release all sorts of important things like serotonin. But it also communicates a lot with your spine and your brain, your central nervous system, right? So central nervous system and enteric nervous system, they do work together and cooperate. But there are some things that just your enteric nervous system can do on its own. And so basically that's all the science that I wanted to discuss. I don't want to get more in detail about stuff, A, because I'm not an authority on all that, but B, because I don't want to get lost in that. I'm just doing the energy aspect of it. And there are ways to do it so simply that you're kind of, it just, the details are just a distraction, basically. So, okay, so that was just, okay, so that was just, defining central nervous system and enteric nervous system. So basically your brain and spinal cord is central nervous system, and then enteric nervous system is your gut. Everything from, the route that food travels from your, your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, your rectum. So then, so this is basically what we're going to do with it. We're going to mindfully clear energy blocks within those systems, your central nervous system and your enteric nervous system, and definitely just what's healthy and gentle to do right now. That's always important, but with this stuff for sure. But we're going to clear energy blocks mindfully, meaning like first you find the blocks, then you have your angels recycle any invasive beings hooked into them, and then you melt all your, bossy siblings out of the blocks, and then you melt the blocks, So get the beings out, get the people out, and then melt the blocks, right? So we will be melting blocks to facilitate communication within each of those systems and from one to the other, from your brain and your spine to your gut, and from your gut to your brain and your spine, and also within. And, you know, within your brain, I only know like this much medical information about the communication within your brain, but I don't even want to discuss that too much. You could, you know, put it in a search engine and say, how does communication within the brain work? You know, but basically there's communication between neurons in the brain, and then there's communication. So within like little cells within the brain, there's communication, and then there's communication from like a whole section of the brain to a different whole section of the brain. And so you want all that to work well. So basically it's energy flow, you know. I mean, again, I'm an energy healer. That's what we're working, right? So just like when we heal meridians and stuff, you don't actually have to know the whole route of some complexly flowing meridian, like gallbladder meridian is a good example. It has all sorts of cool, like, whoosh, whoosh, goes around the ear, and it goes to the forehead, and then it goes back, and then it goes zigzaggy down the body. But you don't have to remember every twist and turn. You could imagine the entire route of the gallbladder meridian as a river, you know, and just, you know, work it that way. And then the aura for that whole meridian is just all around you. And so you imagine the aura, and then you imagine the river just as like a symbolic representation of, you know, without all the twists and turns and bends, right? So it's kind of that level of simplicity that we're going to be working the this sort of nervous system communication between the central nervous system and between these two, central nervous system and enteric nervous system, and within them. We'll just look at flow, right? So we don't have to think about, oh, it goes from this section of the brain to this section to the, because each time it's different too with the brain, you know. Certain sections have to communicate with each other for certain functions that you do. And, you know, so screw that. We'll just look at a representation of, okay, well, this route, you know, this flowy line represents all the necessary routes of communication within your brain and your spinal cord. So a CNS line and an ENS line, right? An ENS line for your gut, right? Your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, your rectum, just a line, right? So a flowing line, it should flow, right? And the brain's spinal one should flow. So CNS and ENS. And so they should flow, and then they should flow, you know, the communication should flow from one to the other too. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to imagine blocks, healthy and gentle blocks to help the flow. That's it. But it feels nice. I mean, well, I feel things immediately when I do them with energy healing most of the time, depending on what I'm doing. But if you don't feel things immediately, then maybe you won't feel things immediately for this either, but it helps anyway, even if you're not checked in enough to feel a big physical reaction when it happens. So that's it. We're going to facilitate energy flow and communication within your brain and your spine, within your gut, and in between the two systems. And there are extra ways that we can play with that, which I'll explain at the time, but they're simple. I'm definitely keeping it simple on purpose. Not only because I'm not a medical expert and you don't need to be either, but just because it's just not, it could distract what we're trying to accomplish, which is to facilitate the flow and the flow of communication and energy. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So that's that. That's sort of if you maybe like the central concept of today's healing is that right there on the screen. I won't repeat again because I've said it a million times already. And then also other things is so I already said that, you know, what we did in the last healing, you know, the healing 3 of 3, we worked manifestation wings, MW, and creative rings, CR. So to create more volume of gold light. So we're gonna do that again today, just because it was really helpful. I think it's a good complementary technique. Like if everything is bashed up and things aren't working right, having a lot of that gold light, it would help, but it wouldn't be all you need, right? But if you kind of get the kinks out of everything else and you have your, you know, your power pack, you know, jamming and doing really good things, then I think it's a great combo. It helps. The other sort of complementary thing, which is never a bad idea, is to unblock your spiritual path. I don't need the brain guy up anymore, even though I love him. So unblocking your spiritual path. Well, and there you go. There's an image of a path right there. Which, you know, your spiritual path doesn't have to look like that, but you know. But I think, you know, if we get the, you know, your sort of your jetpack going with your volume of gold light being generated, and then we get rid of some of the kinks in your, you know, your nervous system, your central nervous system and your enteric nervous system, then, and then we also unblock your spiritual path, I think it's like easier for you to blast forward on your path. So that's the combo today. The central nervous system, enteric nervous system, healing and unblocking. The manifestation wings and creative rings, extra gold, volume of gold light, and then unblocking spiritual path. Along with the 5 essentials, you know, because without those, you're screwed. So grounding, 5 essentials are grounding, or repair, creative ring repair, chakra repair, and back of head stuff. So that's that. Hope that makes sense. And how about I didn't freak people out with the whole discussing specifics about the nervous systems, some of your nervous systems, because to do the healing, you don't need to know every little, you don't need to understand every little detail I just said. Okay. So I'm going to check out chat comments. Please feel free to say where you're viewing from, if you wish, or what the weather's like where you are. Or just say hi. Okay, we can see and hear you. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Janet. Cute emojis. Can see and hear you from sunny Las Vegas, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. That's like a hot summer day for us out here in the Pacific Northwest. It's cloudy. Probably low 50s, I would think. Fahrenheit. Here right now. Hi from Chicago, 78 degrees Fahrenheit there too, and sunset. Wow, 78 at sunset. That's wild. In April, I guess it's April. Excited to work ENS, yes, enteric nervous system. Your gut. Serotonin deficiency is a big thing for me. Hey. Well, that should be interesting then. Someone says, hello from DC, Washington, DC, the capital of the U.S. We have a beautiful summer night. It's 75 degrees. Yeah, summer night in April. It's 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. Seems to be a popular temperature in this country at this moment, except for here. Hi from New Hampshire. Hello to you. 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. With lots of big trees. That's what we have. Lots of big trees over here. All right. Well, thanks for the hellos. That's nice. I always get a kick out of that. So, just a quick moment for newbies. It'll be quick though, guys, I promise. So that's my website. If you don't know, who I will be healing in this live stream is people that purchased in advance this healing as a set of healings. So this healing is a set of 2 healings. The other one is on Sunday. People purchased that in advance before, I closed out the sales, and that way I had time to prepare and know who I'm healing and all that good stuff. So if you're just watching live, but you didn't already purchase, then I'm not healing you, but you are super welcome to watch and heal yourself as you watch if you want. I do, for the most part during the healing, I say what I'm doing as I do it. So it does function as an all levels self-healing walkthrough as well, if you wish. Even if you're a newbie, you've never done energy healing before, as long as you're feeling kind of adventurous, I think you could go for it and follow along and heal yourself and have a good time and learn. And if you're advanced, of course, then it should be pretty interesting and enjoyable for you too, I would think. I would hope. All right. So that's that. So feel free, if you want, check out my website, purchase an upcoming set of healings if you wish. The May and June sets are on my website. May is about social interactions and helping yourself with self-love as well, and confidence, but also your interactions with others, which affects business, it affects social life, it affects boundaries with others, it affects everything. So there's that. And then the June one is, I'm going to forget the theme, but it's a really good one. Yeah, I forget what it is, but it's awesome. You can check it out on my website. And actually, the June one is more immediately popular for people, which is interesting. Because the angels, I mean, they tell me, I mean, I work with the angels to figure out the themes. So it's not always me picking what I know everyone's going to consciously be like, oh, I want that one. It's just whatever's really useful for people and valuable. So I think that May one is equally valuable, that theme, to everyone, most likely. But it's interesting that the June one is popular. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Popular with individual purchasing people. There we go. So I will just be quiet for a minute or two as I finish my prep and start the healing. And then after that brief time, I will talk out loud and say what I'm doing as I heal. Okay, thanks for waiting. So let's do grounding first, and then we'll see where we go from there. So just recreate both your groundings, the one for your body and your body's aura, and one for your spirit and your spirit's aura. And just make both those groundings nice and wide. Bring them up high as your third chakra, below your sternum. Your third chakra is right about here, right below your sternum. Right, so there's your third chakra. So bring your grounding up that high, make it wide all the way around and wide all the way down to the core of the earth. And you can make a copy out in front of you of your groundings along with everything else. So your 17 auras and your physical body and your astral body are inside your auras, sort of in the center. And then there's your groundings connecting you to the core of the earth. And go ahead and test different colors for your groundings. So make them both red. See how well that releases. Make them both orange. See how that releases for you. And make them both yellow and see how that releases. And you're using gold light to heal and unblock that is generated by your hand chakras and your fingertip chakras. So you just set those particular chakras to a metallic gold color like this glitter. It's your intention. So none of this requires vision, clairvoyance, seeing energy. Just do it with your thought, your imagination. Eventually, vision tends to kick in, at least a little, like eventually after months of practice. So just use your intention or your thought. So gold light, and then use the gold light from one hand to unblock the other hand. And you can also make a copy out in front of you of your hands, if that works better for you, and just unblock the routes down your wrists and your fingers. You have a lot of really important meridians that either begin or end in your fingers. So that's another important reason to value your hands. So anyway, run gold light through your groundings. And indie grounding is where you check the outer surface. You run gold light through the outer surface of your groundings and check for anything sticking out and melt that away. So there could be hard objects that people threw there and just melt those away. There could be connections to other people's groundings, which kind of messes up both your groundings. So just melt those connections away. So that is just for you. Your groundings are just for you. And find some energy blocks in your grounding. And in general, your intention is healthy and gentle. So just find what's healthy and gentle to clear right now. Your intention, find a bunch of blocks, surround them in lots of gold light. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? And just take a deep breath while your angels do that. And then melt cords from people going into the blocks. You don't have to worry about who the cords are from. And then melt the blocks. So that's the general idea. I'll be saying that a million times during this live stream. When you melt blocks, get rid of the beings first, and then the people, and then melt the blocks. So find some more blocks, like sweep. It's like if you're sweeping a floor, you just sweep all the junk together that was on the floor. So you can just sweep together all the blocks that were in your grounding without having to see every last one. Sweep them all together, and then surround them in so much gold light and say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? Deep breath while your angels do that, and then melt away cords from people going into the blocks, and melt the blocks fully. Deep breath, breathe into your major joints, your shoulder joints, your elbows, your wrists, your hips, your knees, your ankles. All right, so good enough for grounding. Okay, so I'm going to do actually part of that, the big stuff I talked about, even though we haven't yet done the rest of the 4 essentials, and I'll kind of weave them together. So, CNS, central nervous system, which is spine and brain, and then ENS, which is enteric nervous system, which is I'm just going to call it your digestive system. So it's from your esophagus all the way through where food travels, all the way down through your rectum. That's the whole thing, is your enteric nervous system, right? So and I explained that more before the healing. So imagine each one as just a flowy red line, like communication within your brain and your spine. It's fairly complex, but you don't have to imagine it that way when you're healing. So just a red flowy line representing the communication within your central nervous system, your spine and your brain. So all the different parts of your brain and how they talk to each other. So that's a flowy red line. And then the enteric nervous system, that's a flowy red line. And the thing is, you can have these, imagine it as it is in a way. Imagine all the energy blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of along these flowy red lines, right? So, you can imagine them like, like hard tiles or big chunks of blocks. But you want to just imagine the blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of. And you can do both at once if you're a more experienced healer, or you can just do one at a time. So just do your central nervous system blocks. I think that's probably what I'll do. So I'll get rid of the enteric nervous system one for now. Just do the central one for a few minutes. So imagine the blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of, that are messing with the natural sort of optimal flow of communication within your central nervous system. And just see those blocks. And you can just double check it first if you're unsure. Angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all these blocks right now? So then they'll kind of remove from your vision or your imagination ones that are too much to do right now. And then just say, angels, and start running gold light through them, through the blocks, and just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? And then go ahead and use so much gold light that you melt cords from everybody going into these blocks. And then just keep using gold light till the blocks melt. And take some deep breaths, relax after you did that. I'd be interested in seeing how it feels for people, because it's probably going to be real different depending on how blocked up you were and how present you are, yada, yada. But I find it very So again, central nervous system, red flowy line representing communication flow and energy flow within your central nervous system. See on that red flowy line some energy blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of, that would optimize the flow and the communication. And then again, just clear them mindfully. Imagine the blocks, run gold light through them. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? And then go ahead and melt cords from people going into these blocks. And melt the blocks. Keep using gold light and melt the blocks. And just keep breathing and see how that feels. So then let's do a little enteric nervous system unblocking. So now we'll do this part. Right. So red flowy line representing the communication and energy flow within your enteric nervous system, which is your gut. So from your esophagus all the way through your stomach, intestines, rectum, the whole thing. And there are over 100 million nerve cells, so they need to communicate. So just imagine that the flow as a red flowy line within your enteric nervous system, and imagine the healthy and gentle blocks that would be great to clear right now, and blocks that would be healthy and gentle to clear right now, right? And just imagine those blocks along this red flowy line, and then just clear them mindfully, right? So start running gold light through them and say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? Deep breath. And then go ahead, use lots of gold light and melt the cords from people out of these blocks. And then go ahead and melt the blocks fully with gold light. All right, let's do that again. So red flowy line representing the communication and flow within your enteric nervous system, so your gut. Imagine the blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear in your enteric nervous system. Imagine those blocks along this red flowy line and start running gold light through the blocks. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? Deep breath. And then angels, well, then you can just run gold light, lots of gold light through them to melt all the cords from people. And then melt the blocks. Couple deep breaths, relax, see how that feels. Okay, so now we're going to do the flow from one to the other, back and forth between the ENS and the CNS, the enteric nervous system, your gut, and your central nervous system, your spine and brain, right? So 2 red flowy lines, and see if there are any energy blocks sort of dividing the 2 systems that are healthy and gentle to get rid of. And just say, angels, as you run gold light through them, say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? And then keep using gold light and melt cords from people. And keep using gold light until the blocks fully melt. Keep breathing, stay here, wiggle your toes. You can check your grounding, double check your grounding. Run gold light through it, melt some blocks. So another fun thing to do with both these systems is red is a good color for these systems. I tested out some other colors and the angels talked to me about it. So I think red is probably the best color, because you don't want the communication to go too fast in these systems, because that could lead to you not feeling so good. So red is slow moving, but not too slow. So it's nice for body stuff like meridians and stuff. So, but a red soak, over there, red soak. So red earth energy soak, right? So rather than do a tricolor earth energy soak, which we do for your whole system, sometimes red and then orange and then yellow earth energy, which is really nice. And that's fine to do with your whole system. If we're just isolating your central nervous system and your digestive system or your enteric nervous system, the angels like red for the earth energy soak. And it's really nice. So have a red flowy line for your central nervous system and a red flowy line for your enteric nervous system, and just bring up straight from the core of the earth, red earth energy, and soak both of those in red earth energy. And just let that earth energy come up and soak it in. Breathing, see how that feels. And that can pop out some invasive energies out of these systems, just the red soak, red earth energy soak. So you can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings, you know, popping out or still in the way, making trouble, can you recycle them? So you can run gold light through and bring up red earth energy through both of these systems. And you could leave the red earth energy soak up, that's fine. Mm. So then, I like doing this thing, which, you know, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it the red ball test, where you kind of imagine, you know, both those systems as red flowy lines, you know, the communication, this metaphorical, easy, simple representation of communication within the spine and the brain as a red flowy line, and then the ENS or digestive system communication within itself as a red flowy line, right? So you have the two red flowy lines that also can flow into each other, right? But then you do a red ball test. You imagine, you know, energy, like a ball of red energy that's yours, you know, and just roll it along and see, you know, does it collide with some energy blocks? And then does the red energy turn into like black, usually is what it is, or white, you know, and it can turn into white. So black is way too low, white would be way too fast moving and high vibrating. So just see, you know, you roll the red ball through both of these systems and just see, you know, if it's no longer red, that energy, you want it to stay red the whole time. You want to clear enough blocks so that red stays red, so it doesn't become too low or too high vibrating and go into a different color. So you can just melt the blocks that are in the way of that, the healthy and gentle amount of blocks. So just find those blocks that are in the way of your red ball test being successful, and say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these? Just keep running gold light through the blocks, melt people's cords out, and melt the blocks. Okay, so again, try the red ball test, you know, ball of your energy rolling through the system, this, you know, simplified, very simplified version of the system, and see, does it stay red, or does it hit some blocks and then turn into a different color? And the blocks could be not so significant, so then the ball just slows down a lot when it hits the blocks, which is also not good. You just want to imagine like whatever healthy level of communication. You don't want it to be too fast and frenetic, but whatever's a healthy speed for your system. And so you got your red roly ball and see what happens to it. So, and then you could try from the center a red roly ball and see what happens to it. And don't be discouraged, you know, if it like totally collides with a bunch of blocks right away, because you know, you've never done energy healing in this way on these systems, most likely. So, you know, it's not a terrible thing. It means there's room for improvement, right? So just find the blocks that were in the way of the red ball test and that are healthy and gentle to clear right now. Run gold light through them. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? Deep breath. And then keep running gold light through. Melt cords from people going into the blocks. And melt the blocks fully. And just see how that feels. Keep breathing, wiggle your toes, touch your fingers, stay here. So, when you're viewing both systems, you know, with your red flowy line to represent each one, um, there could be energy blocks, right? And we've been melting those to the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. But there can also be hard objects or devices from other people, maybe that you picked up in a past life or in this life. So you can lift out, to the extent that's healthy and gentle, lift out any hard objects or devices affecting these two systems. Just lift them out with gold light, lift out the hard objects. You can imagine them like little pieces of hardware, you know, like screws and bolts and nuts and stuff, if you want. Just lift out all the hard objects from both systems and lots of gold light through them. You can say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this stuff? Melt cords from people. And then you can just kind of crush the devices with gold light and destroy them fully. That's kind of a power move. Like, ha ha ha, you know, someone tried to control me and I've crushed it in an instant. I've crushed their little silly device. So, and then you could do the red ball test again, see if, you know, it flows better. The red ball can roll through the system more easily, representing, you know, more smooth, unobstructed, healthy energy flow and communication flow. So, parents, your old parents. You can obviously have, you know, your parents' energy in your space, genetic parents, or maybe if you were raised by a stepmother or stepfather. Um, and you don't have to keep it. You know, even like, you know, I'm healing some younger people, you know, like a 9-year-old, and even with him, it's not healthy for him to have his parents' energy in either of these systems. It can block him up. But as a kid, you're more likely to keep their energy in there because you're like, well, you know, they're in charge. I'm not in charge, you know. And so the thing is, not all parts of you tends to get the memo once you're like 30, 40, 50, 60 years old or something. And so you keep them in there because you're like, well, but it's my mom, or well, it's my dad. You know, like a part of you is still in that kid mode and keeping that energy there. And it could be that your parents are just kind of sadistic and controlling. Many people are, many parents are. But it could be that they're sort of accidentally controlling, like that they have fear baggage, and so that makes them controlling, but they mean well, but it's still controlling and blocking you up. Or it could be parents that just they don't know how to be supportive without like sitting in your lap and in your brain, you know, and talking to you all day. So, you know, there could be innocent motives, but it doesn't matter. You know, let's clear them out, right? So let's do that. Um, find that little doing thing so I know the people could jump to that if they wanted. Here we go. Doing for real. Oops. Okay. So you have your central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord, and then you have your enteric nervous system, your gut, and just see what's healthy and gentle to clear right now of your parents' energy in your space. Even if, like, say your dad was a sperm donor, you know, like you never met him basically, or you know, they split and you only knew him when you were like 2 months old. Look for energy from either of them for sure. And you could also look for grandparents if you want. But just whatever energy of theirs is in your CNS or ENS, right? And just start running gold light through it. And say, angels, can you help me remove all this in the least dramatic way possible? The safest way possible. And then just use lots of gold light and melt their energy out. Couple deep breaths. Touch your fingers, wiggle your toes and your ankles. Rotate your ankles if you want. Shoulders. Do that one again. That was a good one. So red flowy line representing as a simplistic representation of your central nervous system, and a red flowy line as a simplistic representation of your gut or your digestive system or your enteric nervous system. And notice any energy will broaden it a little bit. So any energy from any genetic relatives in this lifetime that's healthy and gentle to get rid of. So including parents, including siblings, including grandparents, and yada yada. Right? And run gold light through all that and just say, angels, can you help me remove this in the safest, most low drama way possible? And then keep running gold light through it and melt it away with gold light. Breath. Touch your fingers, wiggle your toes, rotate your ankles. All right, that was pretty awesome. I hope it was awesome for you. It was awesome for me, but I do want to know how it was for you. Alrighty, righty-roo. Okay, so basically we're doing the rest of the essentials. So the 5 essentials, we already did grounding a while back. So now we'll catch up and do the rest of it. Okay, so aura repair, just comb through the copy of all your auras out in front of you. Check for rips. Just feel them, imagine them. Where are they? They could be like right here, like a giant valley in the top of your auras, or it could be right in front of your gut, or right by a shoulder of yours, or by a knee. And that's just to train your awareness to find them. So then you realize, like, okay, I really, really do need aura repair. But of course, when in doubt, just do aura repair. But so the easiest way, you could localize to it, and I tend to favor that unless I know I have a bunch and I have no patience, then I'll do it this way where you repair all of them at once. So you imagine an image of a rip and you say with your intention, okay, well, this rip represents all the rips that I have in all my 17 organs. So, and then you repair this rip. And as you're repairing this rip, that repairs all or most of them. And then you do it again for the leftover one. All right. So representative rip, have it represent all of the rips, and use so much gold light. Now this will be the wow version that you can definitely feel free to do in private. So in your home, you could do this one where you just do so much blast, so much gold light from your hands, you know, through this representative rip, and you're blasting out people, invasive beings, you're crushing the hard objects that are got stuck in here. You could say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are anywhere near these rips that are in the way of the repair? Recycle all of them. And then they just grow back, these parts of your auras. And the gold mesh spheres, which are spheres in the Wei Qi auras that you have that generate gold light. So those regenerate, those recreate themselves. All the rips mend up. So for the leftover rips, I will do the non-wow version, which you could do in like a semi-private place, like in your car, in a parked car, a place like that. So that is just slightly different in that you don't blast so much gold light, you just use sticky gold wax. So you have your representative rip, you say, okay, well, this represents all the leftover rips that I still have. And then you use gold light from your hands that with your intention, it hardens on whatever's not you and forms a lump so that you can easily take it out, right? So fill it up with sticky gold wax, have it stick to everything that's not you, lift all that out at once and give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Sticky gold wax, have it make one big lump of junk, which is hard objects, invasive people's energy, and invasive beings. So sticky gold wax, make a big lump of all the junk, lift out the junk. Angels, here you go. Sticky gold wax, lift out all the junk. Angels, here you go. So then use gold light now that it's cleaned out and get it as deep as you can and along the ripped surfaces so that they wash off and start to repair. And you can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way of this repair, can you recycle them? And that's really important because invasive beings, you're way more powerful than they are, but they can just kind of be in the way. So it's good to keep recycling them. Oh, keep asking your angels to recycle them. Oh, couple deep breaths. We'll stick in, it's sort of the back of head stuff, but we can jump around, it's okay. So we'll stick in, make a big red grounding for the back of your head, like the back of your neck and the base of your skull. So have a nice red grounding that goes all the way from the core of the earth all the way up to those areas. Which could help you to drain off energy that's not yours from those areas. Okay. Real quick, you can check the outer surface of all your auras, see if you missed anything, if you missed a rip or two, or if there's like a hard object still sticking out. If so, just melt away the hard object and repair the gash. The angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair? So when you check the outer surface, you don't want to feel any leaks or intuit any leaks. If you do, go ahead and repair them up with gold light. All right, good enough. So now creative rings up here, 1, 2, 3. They come and go with your astral body. They generate lots of gold light if they're working well. If they're messed up, then they can have they have flaps, just like the round opening of a chakra has flaps. And you want the flaps to be relaxed and shut so that you don't feel like the bumpiness of the flaps sticking open. Because not that the bumpiness matters, but just the open flaps make it easier for someone to cord. So you don't want that. So if for your creative rings, if the flaps stick open, the top-down view of it would look like this. See, that's with the open flaps. But if you melt away the cords and unblock and heal with lots of gold light, then the flaps fall shut. So then it's just a smooth outer surface of the ring, which is easier for you to have your boundaries then in that case. Harder for people to cord. So lots of gold light around the outer surface of your creative rings and also the inner surface. You want the creative rings to be really unblocked. You can go ahead and also imagine them separately. Like there are 3 stacked up on top of each other with space in between, but you can, if it's just a copy, you know, which you have out in front of you, then you can spread them out. So 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, and just sort of use lots of gold light. And then you can flip them over and see the underside and just use gold light to heal any scratches or any energy that's not you, just melt it away. You can say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings messing with my creative rings or anywhere near my creative rings? Can you recycle them? Gotta put my hair up. I get really hot when I heal. When I do group healings, I get really hot. So anyway, so you have your creative rings spread out, the copy spread out, and you can heal both sides at once using both your hands. That's kind of nice. Blast them with so much gold light. You could bring up purple grounding and soak each one with like a purple earth energy soak while they're separated like that. That could be kind of interesting. And then just, you know, stop imagining them separate. Just have all 3 the normal way, you know, stacked up on top of each other with space in between. And just double check that the flaps are shut. And there could be some damage that maybe you missed. So just notice that if there's like a break in one or all of the rings in a certain spot, and just use so much gold light that it repairs. And just check that you have good flow through. You know, your 7th chakra sends energy upward to the top of your 7th layer, which then flows down all the way down to the bottom of your 7th layer. And then your 7th chakra draws it upward through your body and then into the 7th chakra and then up again. Right? So you want all the energy that needs to flow upward from your energy that you're generating from your 7th chakra. You want it to be able to go through the ring and not like have to bounce around the outside of the rings because it's too blocked, right? So just check the flow through basically. So imagine your 7th chakras and then your creative rings and see if there's full flow through, like 100% can go through the rings. If not, just melt away the blocks in the way. All this stuff can help with focus. All right, good job. So then chakra repair. So this is the basic shape of a chakra, an open cylinder, equally open on both ends in order to facilitate flow and releasing as much as possible. So you can imagine a copy like that out in front of you of a chakra and just say, okay, well, this represents all my chakras of my body and my spirit. So all the major seven physical body chakras, 7 astral body chakras along your spine, but then all other chakras. So like all the little acupuncture points, those are chakras. You have energy centers around each joint, you know, lots of chakras, right? So just imagine one chakra and say with your intention, okay, this represents all my chakras, and then go ahead and use gold light. And you can use red earth energy too if you want, from straight up from the core of the earth. Soak it in the red earth energy, soak it with gold light, melt cords. And again, a chakra opening does have flaps, and you want those to relax and fall shut. You don't want them to stick out and look funny like that, right? Because that's too easy for people to sink a pair of cords in, and the flaps are open. So there's lots of gold light. Melt away the baggage. Melt the cords. You can use your fingers and drag them through the image of the chakra and drag out the healthy and gentle blocks that are good to clear, the blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear right now. So, you know, put your fingers through the copy, drag out the blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear, and then just use so much gold light. You say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into these blocks? And melt cords from people and melt the blocks. So again, drag out the blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this stuff? Melt cords from people. And melt the blocks. So our theme, we can mention that too. Because it's always a good time to work the theme when you're repairing and unblocking all your chakras at the same time. So the theme, time management, self-discipline, focus, and productivity, right? So this is more unblocking though, right? Which we have been doing, but now this specifically unblocking to help these themes, right? So you have your copy of composite copy representing all your chakras. And then just lift out the baggage that's healthy and gentle to clear right now that would help you with these themes: time management, self-discipline, focus, and productivity. So lift out the baggage, start running gold light through it. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? Melt cords from people. And melt the blocks. One more time. So you have a copy of all your chakras, well, a composite copy representing all your chakras. Lift out the baggage that's healthy and gentle to clear. That would help these themes. And just use lots of gold light. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this stuff? And melt cords from people going into these blocks. And melt the blocks fully. Or blow them up at this point. That would be okay too. Deep breath. Okay, good enough. So then back of head stuff. And I'm going to combine it with I'm going to combine it with facet and disc joints. Healing and repair. So let's start with that actually. So the spine, the facet and disc joints. So FACET for facet joints. Those are shown in that diagram right there. That diagram right there. That's like a great enlargement of, it's a really big enlargement of, well, might be, well, I don't know how big you're watching it, but anyway, it's an enlarged version of 2 of your vertebrae, you know, the bones that make up your spine. So the blue parts there, those little flat, kind of flat looking blue parts, those are facet joints. So they allow you to, you know, like turn and like kind of twist your spine. Okay. So you can run gold light and red earth energy through your facet joints. And you want to repair any leaks in your facet joints, and you can just use intuition to find the leaks. Sometimes if you have like a, you know that expression like a crick in your neck, like if something feels weird in your neck, or you know a specific part of your spine feels weird, then it's probably a safe bet that some of your facet joints are leaking, and maybe you have some invasive beings stuck in there. You can just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are messing with my spinal joints, my disc joints, or my facet joints? And just deep breath while your angels cycle invasive beings hooked into these spinal joints. And again, you're using gold light from your hands and red earth energy from the core of the earth. Soak and heal these facet joints. You want the flow to flow. You want an energy flow through the joints, through the bones, to be really unobstructed by energy blocks. The disc joints, you can kind of almost see the disc joint in that big diagram right there. It's in front. So this is a back view, and the disc joints are in the, you know, in the sort of the central and front part of your spine. So those are like the big mushy ones that are more obvious. So like when people say, oh, I have a herniated disc, they're talking about one of the disc joints. So just run red earth energy and gold light through your disc joints of your spine. And again, you don't want any of them to be leaking energy, so just use your intuition and spend extra time if you feel like they're leaking. And if you have no idea, then just have a representation out in front of you of a leaky part of your spine and just heal that part. You don't have to know which part it is that leaks if you don't trust your intuition, but just heal the leaky part of your spine, the leakiest part of your spine. All right, good job, good job, good job. So this is this is the traditional Chinese medicine meridians that flow through, you know, your back of your head here. So the base of skull points are the acupuncture points that are in these two horizontal lines. One at the top of your earlobe, that level. It looks sort of like a line of points right there. And then one at the level of the bottom of your earlobe. There's another horizontal line, and the center has 2 dots there. The GV meridian has 2 dots in that bottom row. So all those points, those 2 rows of points, that's what I call your base of skull points. They're acupuncture points, but all acupuncture points are chakras. They're just not the major 7, so I call them minor chakras, but they're super important. So to heal meridians, you don't need to know much about them. Just use gold light and red earth energy. Flow is good. Keep that healthy and gentle intention. You don't even have to know the direction of flow because the chakras know, and so you're just unblocking and repairing them. However, if you do know the direction of flow, it's a little more interesting maybe. So the only one of those 3, there's like in the diagram, it's grayish. That's GV meridian in this midline one. That goes upward right there. And then it goes down, just it ends in the roof of your mouth. So it starts in the crotch, goes up the midline of the back, hooks around right there. So that's GV. That goes upward right there. But then the other 2, urinary bladder meridian and gallbladder meridian, right there in those base of skull points, those go downward. The flow is downward. Which, I mean, why is that interesting? Why do I care? Well, I mean, if the flow is this way, right, like in GV meridian, that midline one, the blocks here are very relevant, right? It's like the flow is here and then the blocks right here. So if you unblock there, all of a sudden the energy flows a lot better. So you're less likely to have the blocks here. They're more likely to build up here depending on the direction of flow. But you don't have to know. Just imagine the blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear and go for it. Melt them away with gold light. You say, angels, if there's any invasive beings messing with these areas in my base of skull points, can you recycle those invasive beings? Again, we did it earlier. You can remake a big red grounding going from the core of the earth up to all these base of skull points. And soak these base of skull points with red earth energy. And sometimes as you work up some part of your energy system, there will be an invasive being that hasn't left yet, but it's sort of half in, half out, which feels kind of odd. So if you're starting to feel something odd like that, just say, angels, if there are any half in, half out invasive beings, can you recycle them? And that usually can kind of click you back in even better. So again, those meridians are the base of skull area. There's gallbladder, GB, and then there's urinary bladder, which is the yellow one, and then that mid one is GV, governing vessel. And then there's, again, going left to right, then there's UB again, the yellow one, and then there's gallbladder meridian, the blue-green one, right? And I do have a playlist where each video shows the route of one of the major meridians, which is linked in the info section. It's called 12 Meridian Playlist. There is also a governing vessel meridian video too, but I don't think I have that linked in the info section. Anyway, so that's that. And comb through the back of your skull area and out into your auras and just drag out the blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of. And say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this? And just keep using so much gold light, melt away cords from people, and melt the blocks. So they're all gone. And again, if there are any invasive beings that are kind of half in, half out, say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are in the way of me getting more present here? Again, comb through the back of your head area with your gold light in your hands and just drag out any blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of from the back of your head and your auras behind your head. And gather up all those blocks. Say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? Keep using gold light, melt cords from people going into the blocks. And melt the blocks entirely. Couple deep breaths. Touch your fingers, wiggle your toes. So then, good karma windows. Abbreviated GKW, good karma windows. Which is just my name for these cool things back here. They're part of your astral body energy system. And you have one in each of your astral body aura layers back here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And each one of them looks like a triple frame window or a 3 concentric squares. So this is the basic shape of each one of them. And there's like a flowy part in the middle there, the window pane kind of part. Flowy. And so you just imagine all those good karma windows and you want to repair them if any are damaged. Because if they're nicely repaired and flowing and unblocked, then it's just a place for you to bring in good energy, like good karma from the universe, a gentle, small amount of uplifting energy from the moon and the stars, and whatever new positive change energy you want to bring in through this area can come in if it's properly safe and unblocked. But if it's damaged, like because maybe someone threw a bunch of hard objects there and shattered everything, then it's easier for invasive energy to come in, like your bossy sister or some invasive being or something. So just keep them nice and repaired. So just use gold light and let them grow back. Say, angels, if there are any invasive beings hooked into any of these good karma windows, can you recycle them? And you can lift out the blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of out of these windows. So here are all the windows, lift out the blocks, lift up the blocks above that are healthy and gentle to get rid of. Angels, can you recycle any beings hooked into this junk? Use so much gold light, melt cords from people, and melt the blocks. So just recenter yourself. Think of be present in your major joints, like your hip joints, your spinal joints, your knees, your elbows, your shoulder joints. Hold light up and down your spine. All right. So the 5 essentials are done. Woohoo! Plus, we already did a lot of the foundational work for this healing as far as melting blocks so that you have better energy flow and communication within your central nervous system, your brain and your spine, and within your digestive system, your enteric nervous system, and from one to the other, from your brain and your spine to your digestive system, and from your digestive system to your brain and your spine. So we basically unblocked. So things are happier there. And there's less energy distortion. Because if there's a lot of blocks, then it's like the energy just takes on the flavor of all the pain and trauma and whatever blocks that are there. And then it's like you're just swapping around trauma more and more. you know. So we don't want that. I want to melt to the extent that's healthy and gentle, melt all the junk in the way, right? Let's see. Going to look and see what would be best to do next. So I'll be quiet for a minute as I look. Also going to have some tea. Okay, thanks for waiting. So, let's see, this is explaining. I want to fix that. Okay. I was looking at a sample person, one of the people that I'm healing, and she needed manifestation work and creative ring work, which we're about to do, which, you know, the way we're going to do it will specifically help the manifestation wings and the creative rings to generate more gold light. However, the thing is, she, like the majority of people that I'm healing, has a healing subscription, so she gets all the healings. So we already did increase the amount of gold light that the manifestation wings and the creative rings generate, you know, towards the beginning of this month in that third healing of the triplet set. So, but for her, it lasted like only a matter of hours, and then both her manifestation wings and her creative rings got tuned way down again, so that she only generated maybe 20% of what's ideal since then. And I think different people have different levels of that, where they you know, maybe they ride like a really good vibe from the healing, and then, you know, later it sort of fades off, or it's just gone, you know, in their mind it's gone. You know, it's not really, but so some of that is, you know, someone jumps in your space, it kind of tunes you down. But in that case, it wasn't really an external thing. It was she has baggage in her fourth chakra that causes her to adopt a an unhealthy hierarchy position where she's deferential, almost like, you know, it looks like it's from a past life where she was like a prisoner of war, and so she had to, you know, really appear completely subservient and kind of deaf, dumb, and mute, you know, in order to not be targeted by whatever warring army was, you know, had captured them, right? And so the baggage can be in different places, but, you know, you can have baggage that's basically causing you to, you know, become less powerful. And it's subconscious, so you don't know you're doing it. You're just like, oh, I don't know, these healings don't last. So that's one reason why the healing might not last, is because you have this unhealthy hierarchy baggage, and you're tuning yourself back down. But it's from some past life, so it's not like there's a real logical benefit to doing that now. It's not beneficial to you to turn yourself back down, but you're doing it because the baggage is still there. And some people, like some kids I'm healing, they have it in reverse, where their unhealthy hierarchy baggage causes them to not listen to teachers and parents to an extent where they're just making really unwise choices, say with food and what they eat and what they don't eat, or with their behavior at school or something, and they're really harming their future and or their bodies with this inability to understand that somebody else has more wisdom and you can learn from them, which, you know, is not a helpful issue to have as an adult, but it's a really unhealthy issue to have when you're a kid, because not only could that get you into a ton of trouble, but you also kind of miss out on learning really important life skills and things that you need to know and have. And it can kind of mess up some of your trajectory in life. So like I said, your baggage may be, your unhealthy hierarchy baggage may be making you too subservient, or it may be making you too dominant. And you're unable to learn from others, the example of others. So we don't have to worry about which it is. We're just going to melt it. But I just wanted to explain that in detail a little bit in case you're curious. So super easy to do. And this baggage could be in your seventh chakra, your seventh layer, your fourth chakra, your fourth layer, or somewhere else, but we don't have to know where it is. So just, you know, you can make a big gold blanket out in front of you and pile onto it copies of any inner baggage that you have that causes you to, in an unhealthy way, like have some kind of a hierarchy. Either makes you more defeatist and victim-y and subservient, or it makes you more so dominant that you can't learn from others. So just put all that baggage out on the blanket, any unhealthy hierarchy baggage that you have from this or past lives. And say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? That way your angels can edit if needed, save some stuff for later. And then, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? Take a deep breath while your angels do that for you. And then the rest is easy. Just use lots of gold light and melt cords going into these blocks from other people. And melt everybody's energy out of the blocks. And then you can blow up the blocks or just keep melting them with gold light till they're all gone. Deep breath. Okay, so let's do that again. You can redo your grounding too. Make two big groundings, one for your body, one for your spirit. Make them both same color, red or orange or yellow. You can test out which color works best. All right, and then big old blanket out in front of you. Put onto it copies of any baggage that is unhealthy hierarchy baggage, causing you to be too passive or too dominant. And just pile all that out in front of you. And angels, can you check and see if it's healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings that are hooked into this junk? And then you can use lots of gold light and melt cords from people going into this baggage, melt cords from yourself going into the baggage, melt everybody's energy out of the baggage. And once everybody's energy is out, you could blow it all up, or you could just keep using gold light to fully melt it. Deep breath. In all your major joints. All right. Good job. Good job. Okay, so we're going to increase the amount of gold light that you're generating by unblocking and healing and repairing your creative rings and your manifestation wings. We've already done creative rings, but there can be some blocks that just specifically kind of tune down the creative rings. So if we need to do a little extra, that's what we're going to do right now for the creative rings. So just imagine, the 3 gold creative rings that are a part of your spirit's energy system, you as a spirit, and just make a copy out in front of you of those rings and just notice, okay, well, are they generating right now an optimal amount of gold light? And if not, then just use your intention and tune them up so that they do generate an ideal amount of gold light for you. And just let anything that's sort of muting them and making them generate not enough to pop off and destroy any hard objects, any cords. Alrighty. And then manifestation wings. Those are, like I said, big angel wings. They look like big gold angel wings. I do not have an image of them here, although that would be nice. Let's see. I have a nice manifestation wings video, so let me see if I can quickly get that image. And yeah, that's a nice image. All right, let's see. Sorry about the delay. I think it might be nice to look at. We work. see. Almost there. All right, there we go. So that is the thumbnail image for a Manifestation Wings video that I made. So there we go. How fabulous is that? So there, that almost implies that there's like space in between them all, but it's just, it looks like a big angel wing, you know, but just seeing it like that, I hope that inspires you. So sort of in the upper center there, that's where it gets starter energy. That's where it connects to your body, like right around here. And so it gets like starter energy from the energy flowing through your neck and down your shoulders. And so with that starter energy, it kind of starts them up. So if that's a little too blocked, you can just use gold light and unblock that area where your manifestation wings connect to your upper back so that you're getting enough starter energy. And then the wings might not be big and gold like that. They might be just like little crumpled black bat wings, like, you know, teeny things. But that's just because they're they need healing. So just use lots of gold light so that they can expand and become their natural color, which is gold. And I'm looking at some other people, and they're, you know, it's like whether you felt good and you were kind of on a roll from the last set through to today, part of it did have to do with where your manifestation wings still generating plenty of energy. So for those of you who are like, oh, the healings never last, it feels so great, but it's so fleeting, you know. I'm redoing parts of the healing always is a good idea, but manifestation wings, if you want like just one or two things grounding in manifestation wings, you know, your 5 essentials, but yeah, manifestation wings is kind of like a big power pack, you know. So if you feel like, especially if you felt especially productive after the last healing, you know, earlier in the month, the 3 of 3 healing, that could be the brain healing, and that were like the big boosts for people. We can look too at your urinary bladder meridian back there. Wonder if I can pull up both of them at the same time. That would be kind of fun. Oh yeah. So your manifestation wings would be really big though. They would be like maybe that size, you know. So there's your back and there's your manifestation wings. Raw. They could be even bigger than that. Like they could hit the floor even. They're that big. Raw. But in order to have room for me on the screen too, we'll make the little reminder of what they look like much smaller. So I can fit on here too. All right, but let's heal that governing vessel meridian that goes up the midline of the back, and then it hooks around, ends in the roof of the mouth, and then the urinary bladder the yellow lines there that go down the back, that's urinary bladder meridian, which starts in the inner corner of the eye and then goes up and over and then splits into from 2 branches, it splits into 4 as it goes down the back there. But let's just unblock that part that goes down the back a little better, because I think if you have your manifestation wings really like rah, rah, generating a ton of gold, it's nice to have all these close by meridians already unblocked. Otherwise, it might feel a little weird. So we'll unblock a little extra all around where the manifestation wings are. And you can say, angels, if there are any invasive beings anywhere in this area, my back and my manifestation wings in the back of my neck, can you please recycle those? And some invasive beings may have just like popped out in shock that you're doing all this work and are like sort of standing off to the side. So you can find those and just be like, angels, can you recycle all those too? Because they're just waiting for you to, you know, feel confused and tired, and then they'll hop back in. So may as well get them. They can't hop back in. Have your angels get them. And they don't have to be perfect, those meridians back there, but you know, I think a little bit of unblocking to kind of start the happiness is nice. Because then the gold light from the manifestation wings would also help to unblock even further. I'm doing the zigzag ones, the brown line right there, which I believe is small intestine meridian. The zigzaggy ones that go up the back of the shoulders. I love that. It's like so cool. All right. Well, I thought that was fun. I don't know if you did, but I hope you did. Yay. Yay for us. Woohoo. How about that? So, double check, are your manifestation wings now generating an optimal amount of gold light for you at this time? And again, if you're feeling kind of like a badass in a wonderful way, this is part of why. So you can just redo this work if you need to later. Take some deep breaths, breathe into your manifestation wings, breathe into the whole back of your auras, front of your auras, your groundings. Right, how fun was that? Alrighty. Yeah. I can spell. All right, unblock your spiritual path, baby. So, this is, I think, the final thing that we're doing for this healing. Okay, so what is your spiritual path? It's like a road that's just for you. It represents what you're meant to learn and experience in this lifetime. And it is a good way to see, like, are you making progress right now, or are you stuck, or are you totally overwhelmed and stuck, or are you completely lost? So look at your spiritual path like a road that's just for you. And are you on it? And if not, are you all the way off your path? If so, say, angels, can you help me get back on my path? And definitely say, angels, can you help me get back on my path? And then just let your angels pick you up and put you back on your path. And then just notice if you're already on your path, say, are you looking forward on your path, and are you moving forward? And if you're not, you could give yourself a little healing. Use gold light, maybe red earth energy. And your path may be blocked in front of you. Like there could be these big walls obstructing your path. And not everything on your path is meant to be. There can be stuff that's completely unnecessary and unhealthy that you can clear off. So then you can still move forward, make progress, learn and experience, and have challenges, but only the ones that you're meant to have. You don't need to have unnecessary drama and challenges in your life, right? Just the ones that are beneficial for your learning and growth and are meant to be, blah, 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 you know? So just imagine the unhealthy ones, unhealthy roadblocks ahead of you on your path that are completely unnecessary, that are healthy and gentle to clear right now, and use so much gold light that you just melt them all away. Like a series of dominoes, and the gold light, the gold fire just... Right? So imagine your spiritual path ahead of you and the unhealthy, unnecessary drama and roadblocks, and just use so much gold light. You could say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in all this junk, can you recycle them? Melt cords from people, and then just play dominoes, knock them all over, blow them all up. And just see, are you moving forward on your path now? And at a pace that you feel like is satisfying. So you're like, hey, I can feel that I'm making progress. If not, maybe there's too much you're dragging behind you on your path. So check out right behind you on your path. Maybe there's like some heavy rocks that you're trying to pull forward, which could be, burdens that you took on from family members or past life burdens. But just imagine any unhealthy, unnecessary burdens that you're bearing and trying to drag forward, and just use lots of gold light. You say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this stuff? Melt everybody out of these burdens. Now, there could be some unhealthy agreements that you have relating to these burdens. So you can imagine those agreements like pieces of paper, and just use lots of gold light and just say, angels, can you help me clear these? And then just use lots of gold light and melt the burdens. And see if that helps you move forward at a nice pace. And there's a protective force field, or there can be a protective force field, a gold flowy force field around your spiritual path, behind you, around you, and ahead of you, so that it's harder for invasive people and invasive beings to kind of jump on your path and roadblock you. So again, gold flowy force field around your spiritual path, along your spiritual path. And so just use lots of gold light, and you can reestablish that yourself. If maybe there are some holes in it, just repair the holes, or if it's barely there, just use lots of gold light and it'll just kind of reform the nice flowy protective force field around your spiritual path. And if you have somebody who is typically able to roadblock you, maybe they have like a secret door on your protective force field around your spiritual path, and you can just find their secret door or their secret doors, and secret to you, not to them. And just use lots of gold light and melt away their secret entry doors, because your spiritual path is only for you. So just melt away any secret entrances that invasive people have been using to get onto your spiritual path. Couple deep breaths. That was a cool one. I'm going to write that down. Mm. So we just did it, but we melted away secret entry doors that could be in your along your path, like on the sides in the protective force field, that allow your bossy brother or your cousin that always gets under your skin to like show up on your path really easily, and just melt away those doors so they don't have an easy way to railroad you and roadblock your path. That's cool. I like that one. Yeah. Wrap up. A lot. Okay, so we're gonna do just a couple things as we wrap up. So make a big copy of your energy system out in front of you. Redo your grounding. You can imagine both your groundings nice and big and wide. Make them both red or orange or yellow, both the same color. Test out which color helps you release the most at this time. Releasing is really important. It helps you not get stuck in grief or depression, helps you to stay stable and not get manic, helps you to focus and have self-discipline. So comb through your groundings, just melt away blocks. And imagine your chakras. Well, let's clear STEBs. So STEB stands for stubborn triggered energy blocks. Stubborn triggered energy blocks, STEBs. And it's just energy blocks that still haven't cleared. So just pile them out in front of you. Any energy blocks that are triggered right now or that are bothering you in any way, in any for any reason. So it could be relating to something that we did today that I discussed, or something that happened to you last week is still triggered. Or like I wrote here, the third thing I wrote, melt political triggers. So put that there too. Put that all in the pile. So anything that's triggered right now, including about politics, global wars, and all that stuff, local politics, national politics, global economy, all that junk, right? So everything that's triggered, put out in front of you. Say, angels, is it healthy and gentle to clear all this right now? Just let your angels sort through the pile for you. And then, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? And then the rest is easy. You could do it. Just use gold light for your hands and wash out everything that's not you from all this junk. And also your own resistance, your own avoidance, your own denial. Just wash everything out of these energy blocks. Melt cords from people going into the blocks. And then you can just keep using gold light until all the blocks melt, or you could blow them all up. Deep breath. So chakra alignment is simple. We're just gonna, thinking of the major chakras, 7 astral chakras along your astral body spine and 7 physical body chakras along your physical body spine, right? So we can align them. You could align them both at once or imagine them separately, physical and astral separately. It's up to you. But you basically get the 7th chakra in the right spot just through gold light, and you just kind of imagine it clicks into place. And then you do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, one at a time, and heal them with gold light and unblock them until they click right into into alignment, like literal alignment. And a chakra can be like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 oriented this way, and one could be literally out of place like that, or just sort of askew, like it's rotated weirdly. But just use a nice wide band of gold light, and you don't really have to sense it. Just keep using so much gold light that they all pop back into alignment. And typically the lower ones take a little bit extra time to just make sure they're aligned with the upper ones. I'm going to stick a little bit on extra. The tummy meridians. We'll do the quickest ever version of the tummy meridians. Here we go. Use all the Mr. Harry acupuncture model there. But the in between the orange lines, that's the CV meridian, conception vessel meridian. It starts in the crotch, goes up the midline of the front, ends in the tip of the tongue. GV ends in the roof of the mouth. CV ends in the tip of the tongue. But not like you have to know that. But anyway, it's a straight line upward, easy peasy. So just lots of gold light. And then the orange line, that's kidney meridian, which starts in your sole of your foot. But this part right here, it just goes straight up, easy peasy. And then stomach meridian, that's the green, dark green one going down. That starts just under your eye, actually, this way, and then it goes down. But just heal it right there. And then the other two, just momentarily do those. But just comb through your tummy area and through the auras in front of there, and just use lots of gold light. And you can find the energy blocks that are healthy and gentle to clear, and just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? And just keep using gold light, melt people out, and melt the blocks. So again, scoop through your tummy area and outward, gather up energy blocks that are healthy and gentle to get rid of. Use so much gold light. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings hooked into this junk? Melt the cords from people. Melt the blocks. All right, nice. So just comb through your everything above your head, above the top of your auras. Comb there, melt any blocks. Comb through, melt blocks above your head and your auras. Melt blocks all around all your auras, all around your body. Just to the extent that's healthy and gentle. Get your grounding, make that flow really well. Lots of gold light. Do your gold buffer zones. Those are big gold flowy force fields that you can create and attach to the edge of your physical body aura and your astral body auras. They slow the rate of aura damage. Say, angels, can you help me wrap up this healing? And angels, can you help me with time management, self-discipline, focus, and productivity? All right. Good job. That's a healing. I want some celebratory something. Here we go. All right, good job. That's a healing. Woo, 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 woo. Yay. You're a rock star. I like that. Nice. We all. Oh, that's kind of cute, isn't it? Alrighty, so that is the end of the healing part of this live stream, and then we'll do quick breaks, and then we'll do a chit chat. If you wish to join me, we'll chat about energy healing topics. Okay, so we'll do a quick restroom break and a quick stretch break if you wish to do that, and then we'll chit chat for a little bit. So if you want, you can post how the healing was for you. And if you have any comments about, part of the topic, I will say, no, I'll say it later. Okay. So I will get rid of the camera while I'm gone, and I'll be back soon. I am back. Hope you had a good break. So I'm going to do a moment of stretching, and don't feel you have to copy me. I'm not an expert in stretching or anything at all. Just do what's gentle for you, what you feel like doing. If you want to stretch at all, you don't have to, of course. Okie doke. Okay, hello. So I'm going to look at the chat comments that I have not read yet. Thank you, everybody, for your chat comments. Oh, if you would consider giving this live stream a thumbs up, or if you're watching later as a video, if you would consider giving it a thumbs up, that does help. Here's my thumbs up for you. You're awesome. Okie doke. Someone says, thank you, Janet. I feel really calm. Had an intense conversation with, and then they put their person's initials, about moving right before the healing, and we were both triggered, but he's calm now too. Oh, very nice timing. That's good. That's funny. Lately, I've been having trouble letting go of some old friendships that don't work for me anymore. And you're mentioning their initials. My read is that working lung and large intestine meridians will help with this grief about the friendships. Am I reading that right? With those two, it looks like you have past life baggage with those particular people. And so it's like unfinished business. And so when you meet somebody again, you know, say if like they owed you from a past life, like you did so much for them and their family, and they just kind of, you know, like in the case of the first person that you list, it was a pretty even friendship. There's something left over though about it. I think that person borrowed a bunch of money from you in that life, and then they passed away, and it had been all spent. They never paid you back. And it's not like you were going to make the widow pay you back. So there's this sense of like you want to be sort of made whole, like you want that debt to be paid, but in this lifetime that person is kind of a taker. And so they're definitely not into like repaying people from past life debts, on a spirit level in this life. So I think that's why you're just like, it's hard for you to let go of it, because you're like, well, but this was supposed to even I was supposed to be right again, and it's still not right. So what I would say is you can melt away the baggage about what you think is not right on an eternal level between you and that person. And if you feel they owe you, you can just let go of that. And then what happens is, it's not that they don't owe anybody, they owe the universe then. And so then they still have to pay, like they still have the karma if you clear your end of the karma. So then they don't owe you personally. Then, they just have to do good deeds in a future lifetime to pay off. And if they don't, then they have to suffer a little bit in a future lifetime, proportionally to how much they owed and sift you for. But that way you're not tied up at all on it, and you don't feel, you're not like holding your breath for the debt to be paid. It's like you just cancel it and be like, yeah, whatever. Deal with the universe, deal with karma. That's not my thing. So you just kind of clean the slate yourself. It's a similar thing with the other person, though. With the other person, like, you always defended them. They were kind of a hothead in this other lifetime. And again, this is a real quick read I'm doing, so I may be slightly off. You could look at it yourself. But it seems like they were kind of a hothead in that past life, and you were defending them a lot. And then you ended up getting a kind of a bad reputation because of it. Because it's kind of like it pulled you into a lot of conflicts by having to defend your friend. And in the end, like, that friend got pissed at you too. And it was like, you felt like, well, that was a waste of like years of my life. So I think it's like, again, you feel like that person kind of owes you. And in this life, they're not really, they're not functioning on that level. They're basically like, do I feel good? Do I not feel good? It's a little bit like me, for that person. So again, they're not about to repay you in any way. And you're kind of waiting on that, so same advice, just, you can clear your end of it, and then they owe the universe, not you. So I would do it on that level rather than the meridians. Because I don't think it's exactly grief. I think it's the past life leftovers. So just clear the past life leftovers from that life. From those two relationships, in past lives. So specific, in other words, you knew those people in past lives, and there's just leftovers for you, and so you can clear them. Hope that helps. Someone says, I feel good. Thank you for the healing. You're welcome. Unhealthy hierarchy baggage and subservience sounds like me. We'll work on that, and manifestation wings for job search. Yes, that would be nice. And then that same person, I'm just skipping down so I can get all the questions from that same person. So wondering how my dad did. And you mentioned his initials. He did well. He was one of my sample people. He just happened to be. So I looked at him several times throughout the healing. Because of that. And I mean, he's still kind of blindsided a little bit by that conflict with the family member, but he it's like he's halfway there. You know, he's still trying to overthink it. But he did let go of a lot in general, and he is more present in he seems more centered. So that'll speed his ability to process and you know, just clear backlogged confusion and frustrations. So yeah, his angels are very happy with how well he did. Oh, that's nice. Someone says, thank you so much. I'm going back up to the comments that I missed. Thank you so much. I'm feeling a bit stressed and overwhelmed. Got a bit of a headache, which now that I look, it seems like a whack. Isn't that nice? It's not nice when people can read their own stuff now. This healing did motivate me to start taking care of myself more. I have been slacking a bunch, but this time not really caring that I haven't been healing myself. Lost that funk. I'm also wondering how my little one did. He looks happy and noticed he didn't have much of my energy on him, which is also freaking me out. Thank you. Funny. Yeah, your kid was one of the sample people that I thought of. It wasn't a technique that I had planned in advance, but the thing about the unhealthy hierarchies that prevent you from learning from others, he was one of the sample people for that. Your son. But he looks like he has a gentleness about him now. Like he's bouncier, like his energy. Nice. The angels are happy. Happy with how he did the healing. Your headache, yes, it was a bunch of wax. It's funny, you were one of the sample people, just with that impromptu technique that we did about when we were unblocking the spiritual path, and then we got rid of secret doors going through the force field in the path. Remember, like you kept not hearing every time that I would say there's a protective force field around your spiritual path, and you can recreate it if it's too faint, you know, with gold light. And then you did get that. Eventually, finally, you heard that you can make a protective force field around your path. But then, so today, I looked at you with your sibling, and you know how she can just jump in your space. That there was a couple secret passageways that she was using to get onto your path really easily. So, you can keep checking for that and just make sure that there's no little secret doors that she has to get on your path, you know, and just keep melting them away if there are any. But yeah, it was her that whacked you. But you know, the more present you are, the less that can be a big deal, you know. And you realize what it is and who did it, and you just get to work, you know, healing it. So yeah, you just have a little like right back here. You know, you can just do that locally. Just, you know, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this repair, and just flame on a whole bunch of gold light till it all grows back right there. But yeah, not healing yourself is typically kind of a red flag, you know, something's up. So I'm glad. I think the brain healing helped with that. The brain and the enteric energy system. The enteric, what is that? The enteric nervous system. Basically your digestive system from your esophagus down all the way to your rectum. That enteric nervous system, and then the brain and the spinal cord, the central nervous system, you know, unblocking that flow of communication. I think that's what got you to lose your mental funk. So you might need to redo that now and then, just that imagine the red flowy representation of both of those systems and just unblock them more. So, yeah, about your son not having your energy on him, and that's freaking you out. I don't know why that would freak you out, but you can clear baggage around that, I guess. Someone says, is there a link between aura lakes? Aura lakes. Oh, I bet you did some kind of a thing where you don't type it, you're saying it, and the phone is typing it wrong. Is there a link between, maybe you're talking about aura, something like the auras? Is there a link between aura lakes in the same old places, having the same people, courting my energy, blocks, chakra damage in the same places, feeling the same old things, melting the same old chords, having the same old... Gosh. Maybe just like breathe and center, when you're typing. Wow. Same old chords, having the same old psychodynamics, causing the same old... I don't think I'm going to read all this. Yeah, I'm not reading all that. I think you're not that present and you had a being in your head causing you to like mentally loop on something. Yeah, you're not that present at the moment. I think you got whacked. Like your 7th chakra and your creative rings got whacked. And so you're just like, so just don't take whatever you're thinking too seriously right now and just repair so that you can click back in. I mean, it is possible to get, the same chakra damaged. Say the back of your second gets damaged often, is that the end of the world? No. I don't know what to say. It's not like every day there'll be brand new damage you've never gotten. Yeah, there are patterns for sure. But, I don't see that as a really horrible situation that, I mean, sure, it could be that maybe you missed a device or something in your chakra, and so it causes a structural weakness in it. Or maybe you're missing some energy blocks in certain parts of your auras it's causing a weaker part of your aura there. But maybe just the same person who's whacking you just has like an MO, they always like whacking in the same spot. So I wouldn't spiral on that. Just get shit done. Move on with your day. It says, hi guys. Yeah. I welcome you to follow along with the healing, but some of this, I don't know, it doesn't quite make sense to me, so I think I'm going to skip it. I hope you don't get too offended, but I'm not going to read your comment. Someone says, yeah, I lost my spot. There we go. Janet, I thought the brain man was the crown of every healing. Yeah. Oh, I see. You thought it was like the best healing ever, but then CNS and ENS was mind-blowing. I felt trauma, war, fighting, anger when we worked on it. The melting, unhealthy hierarchy was me and my sons. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people needed that. But yeah, you're sometimes, you know, the little ones that I'm healing, they have unhealthy hierarchy in the other direction where they think they're, you know, the wisest person on the planet. So, confidence is good, but delusion, you know, is another situation. You know, you want to be able to learn from others, you know, and benefit from the wisdom of those around you when possible, regardless of your age. So good. I'm glad you like the healing. That same person from before. Again, I don't quite understand your comment, so I'm going to skip it, but I'm glad that you are a part of the stream, and I hope maybe some of the techniques were pleasant for you. Someone says, I am getting better at reading my presence, but slow progress on getting back to present. I've worked on the part of me that turns down the ability to get back efficiently. Woodworking, creative rings, and manifestation wings help. Creative rings and manifestation wings. I mean, lately when you're not present, I mean, you're present like halfway, you know? When you get a lot less present, you're like in 765, maybe only 765, but maybe 7654, you know? I think you still have a blind spot with your husband and him being in your space. I think that, you know, you did mention in your survey that you've had some sort of exciting advancements with, you know, working through some of your resentments towards your husband and some of his controlling behavior that's in your space. But I think that sometimes when if you can't get in your space within like get much more present within 5 or 10 minutes, somebody's in your space that you're not really acknowledging. Either one of your kids or your husband, basically. Yeah. So maybe that'll help. uh I think too, you know, 5th and 7th chakras, if you tune them, maybe like if you feel like your intuition is so off that it could take you days to get more present, then maybe just, you know, your 7th and your 5th, you know, help with intuition. So just tune them a little bit, you know, and then get your family members out. And that way, you know, your intuition is there and, you know, maybe it'll be faster. Yeah. All right. Someone says, hey, Janet, thank you for the reading. The reading. I think you mean the healing. Is there anything the angels would like me to know? You know, your angels are pointing out something from the healing that maybe you could redo if you didn't have a chance to do it, or maybe you did, but they like you to redo it. The facet joints, you could heal them again. We did briefly work on that in the healing. So that's a zoomed in close up of 2 vertebrae, you know, which, you know, of course, that you have many of them in your spine. And the facet joints are those little light blue areas right there. And they help your, you know, your spine to move like that, to sort of twist. And then, of course, you have your disc joints. But they're mentioning your facet joints, specifically the left side ones. So along, if you look at the back of your spine, make a copy out in front of you, and then the left side, your facet joints on the left side. You can ask your angels to recycle any invasive beings in the way of your repair, and then just use gold light, and you can bring up red earth energy and soak them. Also, what could be nice is the heart meridian and pericardium meridian. So heart meridian, that's the one that starts in your armpit, that red line right there. And it goes out to your pinky, the side of your pinky. So all those dots along the way, those are the acupuncture points. You can, there's an individual, well, this is the individual video for your heart meridian. You can study it, the 12 meridian videos are linked in the info section, but heart meridian and pericardium meridian, they're pointing out those two for you. I mean, really, you could work on any of these. They're so cool. But pericardium meridian is right there. Starts near the nipple and goes down the arm and ends in the middle finger. Each one of those meridians has its own aura. So of the 17 auras, so there's the pericardium meridian Wei Qi aura and the heart meridian Wei Qi aura. So they're all around you, and yours are kind of whacked out. So they're like sort of scooped out. So rather than a nice, bubble all around you, those two auras are pretty scooped out. So there's a lot missing. So you can just use lots of gold light and just angels. If there's any invasive beings in the way of this repair, can you recycle them and just keep using gold light till the auras like puff out and grow back. So, and you can also, of course, do direct healing on those two meridians. But I think if you get the auras built back up first, that'd be easier. And then the meridian healing would go more quickly. So hope that helps. And you can look up in a search engine, what does the heart meridian do? What is the function of the heart meridian? What is the function of the pericardium meridian? They're pretty cool. They help with mood and a lot of things. So good stuff. So it says, thanks, Janet, about, and you mentioned two friends, reading two friends of mine. What you said makes sense, as one of them is definitely a taker in this life, LOL. I was so confused as to why they don't like this new version of me, but what you said makes sense. And the other person has been leaning on me hard in this life, and I'd been basically defending her again in like the past life. If all of this makes sense, that's hilarious. Thanks again. Yeah. Yeah, so I think you expected them to be, like totally different in this life and make it all better what happened in the last life, but nope. They're similar, and oh yeah, that's not so satisfying if you're waiting for them to be much more fabulous. So it says, thank you, Janet. You're welcome. My spouse, and you mentioned his initials, thank you, has been closed off again, wondering where the interference is coming from and how to help. I don't remember how his mom is, but it looks like his mom or his older sister or something is in his space, and they have, they're in his space and they kind of move him away from you and put up a bunch of walls. So, I mean, it could be a friend or something, but it seems like it's more like his mom or his sister. So I don't even remember if he has a sister in this life and all that, but, it's somebody's in his space. So what would you do about that though? You could request, like just on a spirit level, that in your dreams, in your sleep on the astral, that you and he meet in an angel approved astral location with no other family members allowed. So then that way he can get a chance to think about how he feels about you without them kind of thinking for him. So hope that makes sense. Yeah, with no other people, just you and him and angels. So no friends, no family members, no nobody. So you can just imagine like a little park bench communication with him and just say, hey, can we have the angels set up nice, healing meetings with us? It could be like a spa day for both of us, and the angels give us extra healings, but we're the only ones allowed there, so then we just get some away time from everybody, something like that. And it seems like he would definitely agree to that, on a spirit level. So then in your sleep, you could do that as like a regular thing, sort of like an angel date night in your sleep, where you get healings and just hang out together. It doesn't seem like talking is really necessary. It just, on the astral, it just seems like just being together without outside distractions and stressors and interference, and while getting healings could help. I hope that makes sense. Someone says, thanks. In general, would you say people that have a difficult life or a problem that after several attempts doesn't seem to go away is karma related? I mean, that's a huge generalization, but yeah, it could be one of the reasons, definitely. Sure. Yeah. So what you could do is, start journaling and ask your angels, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because the faster you learn, then, whatever situation wouldn't be necessary anymore. And it could be that you have certain mental blocks, so you're not hearing what your angels are advising you to do. And so they are helping you, but it seems like they're not, but you're not taking their advice, so that's another thing though. People can have mental blocks between them and receiving as much assistance as possible from their angels. So you could work both those angles. Think about, okay, well, is there something that you're supposed to learn from this that you haven't yet learned? And then another thing is, is there some kind of baggage that, some kind of blocks you have within you that kind of make it seem like divine assistance is not being offered to you, when it is, it's just you're like blocked from receiving it. That kind of idea. Like I have this 4-minute video, which you wouldn't really need to do. It's just a simple concept, but you just imagine if you have any walls up between you and your angels, which could be baggage. It could be devices that other people put in your space, like even in a past life, that block you from receiving angel help. But that's another angle you could work. If there's anything blocking you from receiving as much divine assistance as possible. And just, keep melting that stuff. So there you go. I think, maybe YouTube always puts top chat for me instead of live chat. So there may be a couple that I missed. So I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss any comments. But maybe I didn't miss any. And there were a couple I skipped on purpose, but then I think others I got. Yeah, I think I got them all. All right. Well, good. See, do a little garden update. Then that's it. So, garden update. It is almost towards the end of April, which is kind of trippy for me. I'm not quite ready for it to be almost the end of April, gardening wise. There's a lot that I could do. But anyway, my tomato seedlings, I have to figure out, they're a little too yellow. They're supposed to be green. and they're a little too like yellowy green. And I think they need to be fertilized, but the problem is it's a liquid fertilizer and the soil is already pretty wet. So you don't want your soil too wet, so it's this odd little situation. So my basil seedlings are doing really well. They're having a good life. In the house. But the tomato seedlings are complaining. So we'll see how that goes. And then I do have to plant some other seedlings, which I haven't done yet. I have to plant kale and marigolds, but that'll have to wait till after this inset probably. Can't do everything at the same time. And then I did go to the nursery recently, this nice nursery that has cheaper prices. And I got some stuff to plant, because it's like every spring you have to see what perennials came back and what didn't come back, because like some of the perennials, they only live for like 3 to 5 years, so you don't really know if they're going to come back. So then it's like, surprise, surprise, that didn't come back. Oh, now I have to plant something there, so that's kind of interesting. I thought, well, you just put perennials in as many places as you can, and then so much less work. But some years a whole bunch don't come back, so then you gotta plant a whole bunch of different things. I mean, I need to clear like the drama around that, because it's supposed to be a fun hobby. It's just sometimes I get a little too serious about it. So I think that's my main goal for this year as a gardener, is to not be so goddamn serious about it, to take it with a grain of salt, to be more lighthearted about it all. So we'll see how things go. But yeah. I mean, I can't complain weather-wise. We've had a lot of good gardening weather. It's just, I still haven't spent as much time as I would have liked out there. But it's been enjoyable though, when I get into the zone of it and I just don't worry about it and I just do something and just chill out, and I don't think about like all the things that I didn't have time to do, then I definitely enjoy it. So have to keep being at that vibe of like, be in the moment, dig in the dirt. It's a hobby. Lighten up. Alrighty. You guys are fabulous. The next healing, which is the final one for this month, and the final group healing for this month, and the final one in this twin set, is in 3 days on Sunday. And my website is jwhealing.com. So feel free to go there if you want to purchase healing sets for May and or June, for yourself and or a loved one, or several loved ones. That's all fine. So yeah, you're amazing. Bye. Let me get my glitter. I can leave with some glitter. Bye. You're so amazing.